Hey, how you doing? I'm Steve Folland. Welcome to another one. This time we're off to Trinidad and Tobago to find out what it's like being freelance for creative director Jerel Ramsey.
My dad always used to instill in me, when you start to work for yourself. Don't work for other people. Because then you're basically a slave to them. And you need to have your time, your freedom to create and do what you have to do. So I've always had the mindset that one day I will work for myself, not have to work for others. I'll work with others, but not for them. Instead of the constant competing that you see out here with different businesses, we prefer to work with people so that everybody gets to have a little piece of the pie.
It's another episode of Being Freelance that's supported by and recorded using Riverside. High quality video and audio recorded remotely. Obviously I use it for podcasts and videos, but you could use it for live streaming, for doing webinars, for client calls, power hours, for maybe getting client testimonials. When you hit stop, Riverside is just getting started. It creates a transcription for you. You can create little clips from it. Always a time saver when you're doing everything yourself. Try it for yourself. Go to beingfreelance.com/Riverside. Whilst it's free to get started, if you want to save yourself some money on a paid plan, make sure you use the code Being Freelance. That will save you 15%.
Even though we don't work a 9 to 5 in the general sense of a 9 to 5, we have times that we know, okay, it's again a little late, let's cut off, no work. We need to relax. So no matter where we reach in the project, it needs to save, close, and put away. Time to focus on home and just relaxing.
Yes, so there is Jerel, who is in Trinidad and Tobago. Although, funnily enough, when I emailed him to invite him on the podcast, he was actually in London, just down the road from me. We very nearly did this in person, but no, he's back on the other side of the world. His story coming up in a moment. How are you? Hope you're well. Come and join us in the Being Freelance community. It's a really lovely place online to hang out, our own private space, no advertising and clickbait like you get on other social media platforms. It's all for us. So you can ask questions knowing that it's all private. You can get support. You can celebrate. You can show and tell and get other people to know what you do. And who knows, maybe they'll refer you work. We have job listings in there. We do live podcasts. We do online meetups, co-working. It's a really nice space. If you enjoy the podcast, I really reckon you'll enjoy hanging out with everybody in there as well. So give us a try. Come to beingfreelance.com and click on community, and maybe I'll see you in there. Right now, though, let's crack on. Head to Trinidad and Tobago to chat to freelance creative director Jerel Ramsey. As ever, let's get started hearing how he got started being freelance.
So I've been first and foremost a graphic designer for the past, I would say, 12 years. I started doing a lot of work with the Red Cross through, working with my wife and working with the Red Cross on a whole as a volunteer. And I started realizing that I can do this as a business, like for myself. Outside of that, I was also doing little odd jobs here and there. And I decided, well, yeah, I'm going to do this as a business. So I spoke to my wife about it. We spoke and we decided, all right, we're going to have this business together. And yeah, we started our business and started doing work for other people. And within branding, creative direction, graphic design, communication design, design for social impact, like very purpose-driven work. That's basically our story.
How long ago did you start out?
This would have been in 2020. Yeah.
What were you working as before 2020? So you're working as a graphic designer?
Yes. So I was working as a graphic designer for different companies around the way, from ad agencies to just straight up social media management, where I would have to design all the graphics for those campaigns. And through that experience, I started realizing that I can start using my abilities for different things other than just graphic design. And I started realizing that since I can come up with these things in design, like I can do this as well for whether it's film, photography, social media campaigns, ad campaigns, websites, apps, and I can start building out those stories for other companies and other people. So I started doing it on the side. Um, that way I can make a little extra money at the time. I wanted to get a little more income. So I started doing that to get more experience in different things. And it worked out pretty fine for me. 'Cause I'm here now.
Where did you get those sort of freelance clients on the side of your full-time work though? Where were you getting those?
It was usually from either word of mouth or through friends, family members, even like work sometimes. They might have a client that needs extra work that I can, assist with.
And did you start to build like an online presence? Did you have a portfolio? Like, what did that look like?
That was some years ago. Like, that was probably like before I even decided to have the business. So, or even met my wife. So that was like 2015, 2016, 2017, where I'm still in school at this point because I wanted to formally like do my graphic design, even though I have been doing it from there since 2012. I wanted to formally have a degree that says that I can do this so people can't question it anymore. What I did was I actually went to school in Miami, and while I was there, I got a lot of jobs from other students at first, a lot of odd jobs outside of my actual day job that I was doing as well. Through that, I started meeting new people. They might have somebody else that they know that they think that I can work with, and that's just how it went. It was just word of mouth throughout the way. I didn't have any portfolio. I didn't have any online presence. My online presence was pretty much just me on Instagram, not my work. Yeah, it just kept going like that through people that worked with me and thought that I was good at what I do.
That's cool. So what changed then? At what point did you think, well, actually, I could turn this into my own business instead of working for other people? What was the switch, the turning point?
I always had that mindset that at some point I would do that, because that's how my dad raised me. My dad always used to instill in me from since I was 5 years old. He's been telling me when you start to work for yourself. Don't work for other people, because then you're basically a slave to them. And you need to have your time, your freedom to create and do what you have to do. And I kid you not, since I was 5 years old, my dad has been telling me that. So I've always had the mindset that one day I will work for myself, not have to work for others. I'll work with others, but not for them. So it's been ever since. At some point I just realized, okay, I need to start working on that he's been telling me since I've been that small.
Did he run his own business, I take it then?
He does right now, actually.
Yeah.
He has two businesses. His creative side is that he does decor for events. So if an event like needs a design for how they want the space to look, they come to people like him. So that's what he does right now in Miami. And then his other business is technical, and what he went to school for is elevator inspection. So he inspects elevators, escalators, lifts, anything that with a pulley system. That's what he does. So that's what he does on a day. That's his day job, pretty much.
Nice. Okay, so you're at university in Miami, you're working on the side, but not building up a business as far as you see it. You're just taking things as they come. And then you head back to Trinidad and Tobago and start working for companies there. But you mentioned the Red Cross at some point.
Yes. So when I came back to Trinidad, my wife was actually just a volunteer at the time at the Red Cross. So when I came back, probably like a week or two after, she got promoted and she became the director of volunteer management there. With that came me volunteering a lot at the Red Cross. and through volunteering. And one thing that I love about the Red Cross is that it's always a upward mobility where you can volunteer for years and then there might be a job, and yeah, just kept pushing and pushing to get more work with them as much as possible, especially with the International Red Cross.
Amazing. And that was graphic design work then?
Funny enough, it started as graphic design work, but when I worked with the IFRC, that's where I saw that I can do other stuff, because they saw things that I would do voluntarily for the Trinidad Red Cross, like edit a video for them, for instance, or direct a video for them for something that they had for like an ad or anything. And they saw that and they was like, okay, well, you can do this as well. So now if we have these kind of projects, we can reach out to you for a quote as well. And a lot of the times I would get those jobs to edit videos for their projects and stuff, but also like branding projects for certain programs that they might have. Yeah, it worked out pretty well.
So it sounds like the fact that you got work and it inspired you to start your own business via the Red Cross also changed the sort of work that you decided that you would want to do?
Yes, so it got me thinking more of how I can apply myself in different creative fields, as well as I would also attest that to the fact that my wife dances as well. So through her dance and seeing just different forms of art, just in general, I start seeing that I want to work in different fields just out of natural passion, to want to work in different artistic fields. And now I do film and music, and well, I always did music, but like I do it more professionally now, and I just like to create, and it brings out a really passionate side about me when I'm working on a project, and I can really put my all into every part of the project.
So with that, did you start to call yourself a business, have a business name? Like, how did you put yourself out there that people knew these were the things that you could do? Or did you continue to rely on word of mouth?
When my wife and I decided to have our business, because that's when we officially made it where I don't work for anybody else but me, and we decided to do it together, start the business together, where she will do the strategy side, I'll do the design side and the creative, and we bring that together. It was such a refreshing like experience, because now I have a partner that can actually just be there along the way, every step of the way. So what we named the business was Sola. Sola is a mixture of Sol, for SOL, for the sun, and Luna. So we put those together for Sola. The sun represents me and the moon represents her, and it's about duality and how we work together.
So did you start marketing yourself as Sola?
Yes, so we created the Instagram, we worked on a website, everything. And then 2 years later, we registered it officially, and now that's what we do.
And so how does work come to you?
Right now, it's through similar word of mouth, but we also do our own posts on Instagram and get the word out there that we are doing this, and but also show our expertise in the fields that we are doing, while also talking about just things that we want to talk about as well. And so, for instance, like a big thing for us is, just spirituality and getting that connection to ourselves. And we speak on that a lot on our posts. People see that and they connect with that and they come to us because that's what they want for their brand as well.
Do you work with other people as well? Do you bring on other people for projects, or is it the two of you?
So that's exactly how we work, actually. So what we do is we work with other creatives that do different things. So for instance, we'll work with like a videographer who would shoot the videos for us, but I would direct it. Or an illustrator who would illustrate, like, let's say a background for a graphic, for instance, or an icon, or something for a logo in particular. but I will be the one that comes up with the concepts to give them. And we also work with other designers. If we need more designers on a project, we'll get other graphic designers that we know to come on board. But these are all people that have their own businesses, and we call them co-creators, because that's what we do. We co-create together. And instead of the constant competing that you see out here with different businesses, we prefer to work with people so that everybody gets to have a little piece of the pie.
How do you find those people, and how do you find managing those people?
Usually, well, majority of the ones that we work with are long-standing partners that we've had. So they're people that we know we can trust, and we don't have to micromanage them. We give them a deadline and it gets done. In terms of understanding our creative point of view, they're people that we mesh with as well. So if we find someone that we think works really well, we usually just have a conversation just like this. And if it's something that we feel like it meshes, then yeah, it's perfect.
What sort of work do you mainly work on? Where are your clients based?
Majority of our work comes from local in Trinidad. We also get international from time to time, like people who find us through other people who may also work in an international space. We get a lot of nonprofit and NGO work, and that's usually our international clients, where it may be someone that we worked with before locally, but they work with in an international space as well with another company. They might reference us to them, and then, well, the same process they go through, and they figure out if we're a good fit, and we get chosen.
How do you find working across sort of different time zones or getting paid across different boundaries?
Sometimes payment can be a hassle when you come from a third world country and banking systems are just a mess over here. But luckily, because I went to school in Miami, I do have an account in United States. So that makes things a little easier because they have better bank connections there than, here. But in terms of the time zones, it's never been a problem, mostly because of my work with the IFRC. Like, they're usually on different time zones as well. So it's just a matter of like when we can meet when the times intersect. If it's like such a vast difference in time, I'll make myself available at times that may not be normal for a normal person to be up.
I think you described your work as purpose driven. Did you say that?
Yes. I think through working with the Red Cross that caused that. I think that aspect of just helping people and creating things that make a difference as opposed to just creating for creating's sake.
Do you find work that comes your way that doesn't tick that box? I'm just wondering how you deal with that.
Quite a few, actually. But what we do and how we look at it is that we focus on the fact that, like, our main thing is that our clients should be sustainable, whether that means eco-sustainability or just sustainability in the fact that it's not like creating any waste, both toxically, like community-wise, or like, naturally as well. So once they tick that box for us and there's someone we can like work with, that's where we go ahead. We do have like at least I think one corporate client, but that's because there's a friend and I don't mind working with friends as well, like if that has to happen. But it's not usually what we go after. We don't usually go after corporate like that unless the corporate has some sort of sustainability aspect. For instance, like if someone was to have an online platform where everything is online, I don't mind working with that, even though it's corporate, because it doesn't add to any wastage in the world. And that's something that we would like try to champion in our work.
Do you ever come up against it where something comes your way, maybe it's a good cause, but they don't have the budget. But obviously, you need to make money to survive. I'm just wondering about the friction that might sometimes come from that.
It depends. It depends on, because you can not have the budget, but I don't mean you don't have a budget. So if the budget is still seemingly something that we can work with, might have to minimize like your ideas if it's like a huge idea, and you might have to bring it down to what that would actually cost, like what that cost that you have as a budget can fit, because we also don't want to overextend ourselves, because then that wouldn't be fruitful to us mentally as well, not just working wise.
You've obviously met with and work with lots of other creatives. Is there a community around you of other people, of other freelancers, other creative business owners that you're part of?
I would say yes. I would say most of our co-creators would be that community for us, because they're all freelancers, they all work for themselves. It's something that we try to help each other out at all times, because that's something we really, really believe in. And coming from such a small country, you see other creatives out there that compete a lot, especially when you're in a saturated field like design. There's so many designers in Trinidad alone. So imagine just the region, like so many designers. And it's always where it feels like a competition, but it's not a competition. It doesn't have to be. We can all work together for what strengths we all have. Like, I may be good at designing very minimalist things with a big picture kind of perspective, but this person might be better at designing like 3D looking things or very experimental things. And depending on the project, we have to know whose strong suits will fit this project better.
And do you get to speak to each other about the challenges that you might face running a business?
Yes, we do a lot, actually. We usually have our little get-togethers just to have fun sometimes, because it can't always be work. And that usually comes up, so it ends up being work again, because we're talking about work.
Let's go do something so it's not work, and then we'll end up talking about work.
Yeah.
Back with Jerel's story in a moment. But can I just take a brief moment to remind you that, as well as making the Being Freelance podcast, I am actually a freelancer, editing podcasts, creating podcasts, helping people get started with them, get them up online, get them found, creating social media videos of their podcasts and helping them with YouTube videos and all sorts. So if you need help with that, or you know somebody who does, get in touch by all means. I know after 10 years of doing the podcast, I'm finally realizing I should have been promoting myself as well. So yeah, do get in touch, and I would love to help you get your podcast out there as well. Or maybe you've been doing one for a while and you're realizing that heck, it's a lot of work. If you need help with your podcast, no matter what level of it that you're already at, or maybe you're working with tools like Riverside, for example, but you're struggling to use the editor and need some help figuring out how to use it, then please do get in touch and I'd love to help you. Right now, let's get back to the freelance story of Jerel Ramsey. So your dad obviously inspired elements of business for you, but do you talk business with him or anybody else in terms of moving what you're doing forward?
I do sometimes, but because he's not in this type of design field, it's a little different for him. So he may not always get things from my perspective, but he's just like me. He has a very big picture mindset of everything, and I feel like I get that from him wholeheartedly. But I think more with my mom, she's the more structured person. So she worked, a 9 to 5 her whole life, and, she understands the business aspect of it because she was like in a higher position in her job, and it's something that now and again I might talk to her about certain things. Or my wife and I might just mention to her about things that we're dealing with our work, and she might see things that we might not see and mention it. But usually the main person I talk to about things that I might be struggling with our clients is my wife, because once she usually deals with like the project management side of things and the strategy, and once that's done, it's usually me finishing up the rest of stuff, which is the design and stuff like that. And she helps me come up with the ideas sometimes. She is very good at that as well in terms of coming up with ideas. And sometimes I'm stumped, like extremely stumped, especially in terms of dealing with the client and how to explain certain things to a client. I might be at a fork in a road of how either I explain it to be very harsh or very like cold about it, and then she might find that perfect middle ground of how to speak to the client and explain it to them, especially when it comes to like the creative. Like she finds that perfect middle ground that I can tell them.
How do you two kind of work together and also keep a separation, or maybe you don't, between like work and life?
That's the thing. We rarely ever do that unless we're actually working on something. And that's the one thing about us. We have a great work-life balance in terms of knowing when to cut off, when to not do any work. Is usually when we're with our friends who also are freelancers. They might have certain gripes with their clients, and we end up having those conversations. But between us, we might talk about it once or twice, like if something comes up, but we don't want to like let that meddle into life. Like life should be separate. So we have a really great work-life balance when it comes to that.
Okay, so people might be going, I want a bit of that really great work-life balance. How do you think you keep that balance?
I think even though we don't work a 9 to 5 in the general sense of a 9 to 5, we have times that we know, okay, it's again a little late, let's cut off, no work. We need to relax. So no matter where we reach in the project, it needs to save, close, and put away. Time to focus on home and just relaxing. Even for like if we need to eat, like sometimes I'm working and like I forget to eat. Like I'll just keep working. And she might have to tell me like, hey, take a break, eat, have some lunch, drink some coffee, something like that. And it's something that we respect, period. So once, and I tell her all the time because she does it. She makes sure that I'm taken care of in that aspect, especially because I think she has a better structure with that than I do. I tend to just work, 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 work. And she really makes sure that I'm like, all right, you need to stop, take a break, eat, watch a show or something, try to get your mind off of work for a little bit, and then go back. And then in the night, like once it reaches like, 5, 6, just like a regular 9 to 5, we stop work, no work, time to relax a little bit. And I feel like that balance really helps me not burn myself out.
Throughout, what would you say you found most challenging about being freelance?
I would say client acquisition is still a little bit of a challenge, but only because you can put out work on social media and you can share as much as you want. But we know how social media is these days. The algorithm is terrible. Getting seen is hard unless you're putting that out every day, which is not feasible for just 2 people. It's very hard to keep putting out work and having that, social media presence. And so I would say that would be the hardest part for me.
So it sounds like you're really focused, as Sola, but I remember finding you online as Jerel, you've got a lovely
Yeah.
website. Admittedly, it says at the bottom, made by Sola, which is great. But yeah, you do still have your own personal brand, your own self out there as a creative director, as a freelancer as well, right?
Yeah. I think I try to funnel everything through Solar just from a business perspective. But if, for instance, someone wants to hire myself or my wife, like for instance, through her dance, if someone wants to hire her for a dance related project within her pedagogy, it will be through her because she has her own website as well. And I think it was through seeing her website is what pushed me to say, well, okay, I need a platform for my portfolio and my stuff as well. So let me create one for me. And that's why I posted it and I created it. I actually didn't think of doing it. Not that I didn't think of it as in like it wasn't important, something that I never thought about. I did, but I never put it at the forefront until we created hers. And when we created hers, I was like, okay, well, I need a space that holds everything that I do because I do stuff outside of Sola as well. I'm also an artist doing music. I also do film. So that's like, I want to put all of that in one space where people can see the full plethora of things that I do.
Yeah, I like that. So that it's, yeah, okay. It's a website about Jerel, but it's not all about business. It's you
Yeah,
artistically, what you like to get up to.
yeah.
So does that mean side projects, like doing, things alongside your work are important to you?
Yeah, it is because I feel like because I do so many different creative things, I don't want to just work and not get to do a little bit of what's passion for me. Like music is a huge passion for me, and film is now a huge passion for me. Right now, I'm like creating a film right now, like in pre-production for it, and working on new music right now that I just started this week, you know, and it's something that I really try to map out time for as well.
Okay, Jerel, if you could tell your younger self one thing about being freelance, what would that be?
I would say to start earlier. I think if I had started earlier, I would have been further along. I feel as though I waited a lot out of fear of being fully freelance and, not making money and not doing things right. And I feel as though I should have started earlier.
Do you think, though, all of the experience you gained in the companies you worked at has helped you with your work, both creatively and from a business point of view, though?
I think the first job I got, well, second job technically, that I got coming back to Trinidad gave me enough experience that after that, I could have gone freelance completely. And I did not take the leap there because I was just afraid of how am I going to get my next dollar? How am I going to get to feed myself when the month comes or, you know, get to move out and, not be at home. And that was hard for me at the time. I just didn't see it happening anytime soon. And I would tell my younger self to allow myself to, not let that fear take over. Because I feel like between that job and every other job I had after that, there's not much new things that I learned from those jobs. Like, not much new experience. All the experiences that I got between that time to 2022 when I officially left my job. Because I started the business in 2020, but we only like officially left my job in 2022. So I wish I had started that sooner. That's what I wish.
Jerel, it's been great chatting to you.
Thank you.
Love the look of your work and the variety of it as well. And the fact that you get to do it alongside your wife is really nice. I think it's really interesting, the balance of it and going after the purpose-driven work as well. Go to beingfreelance.com. I'll put links through so that you can see both the websites that we've talked about. Check out the work. But for now, Jerel, thanks so much and all the best being freelance.
Thank you for having me.
That's it. We're done. Quite a short one this time. There'll be another episode in a couple of weeks from now. As this goes out, I'm getting ready to do a couple of speaking gigs. I'm speaking at the Doing It for the Kids community because I co-host the Doing It for the Kids podcast. If you're a self-employed parent, well worth checking out. To be fair, lots of people listen to it who aren't parents, but still. Also, going to be speaking at Creator Day down in Poole. So if you're going there, please do come and say hello. Going to be chatting about what I've learned from 10 years of creating this podcast. So looking forward to doing that. But if you want to find me in the meantime, Instagram, I'm at Being Freelance. Steve Folland, that's my name if you want to find me on LinkedIn. It's always nice to chat to people on there. And of course, hanging out in the Being Freelance community. Head to beingfreelance.com for all the details on everything I'm up to. And please do get involved. Anyway, see you for another one of these very soon. Indeed, you have a great week. Being Freelance.